Beach FM, locals talking to locals.
Beach FM, great to welcome back the Mayor of the Horowhenua, Bernie Wanden. Good morning and welcome to you.
Good morning, John.
Well, we've had an election over the weekend. You may have noticed that, an extraordinary election. What do you think the consequences are for the Horowhenua?
Look, it was an extraordinary election, wasn't it? Unprecedented is a word you could use for that as well, probably. I think for the Horowhenua, though, it's probably, going to give the government some, real sort of mandate to be able to make decisions. And hopefully things like our infrastructure with O2&L and other things like that will see some real progress and may, with a bit of pressure, hopefully even come forward. I mean, we've now seen, if we want to come out of the issues that we've got with the economy quicker, I think we have to create the infrastructure and make the investments to ensure jobs and the flow-on effects of that will, I think, bring us out of, this situation that we're in at the moment a lot quicker than might be the case. Look, I'd like to congratulate Teresa on her election to the Otaki electorate. I think, the reality of having a member of parliament that is in government will also be a benefit to the for the region, and I look forward to working with her.
You certainly have, it appears from my standpoint, you've had a lot more attention from central government in recent months. Are you hoping that will continue, that it wasn't just a pre-election bump?
Oh, look, I'm sure it will continue. I think the reality is that the whole region, the bottom half of the North Island is now growing to such an extent, and that we can sort of provide some lift to the economy right for the nation as well as just regionally, and also that recognising that the effects of COVID are still not as significant in this part of the region as they may be in other parts of the country, certainly the bigger metro areas. Look, I think the election did certainly help in getting us in front of ministers and, making them aware of what the good things that were happening in this region. So hopefully it will continue, yes.
Well, let's hope so. You mentioned the growth, and recently Sense Partners have brought out their review and their predictions of what is happening with growth in the Horowhenua. It's extraordinary, nudging near to 3% growth, and this is going to, I suspect, present some challenges to the Horowhenua District Council.
Look, it sure will, John. Look, we've been reasonably bullish with our predictions in terms of council. We last week adopted at a higher range than what we normally would have. But the reality is that the last 4 or 5 years especially have seen some significant growth, far in excess of what they've projected. So I think, for the next 3 to 5 years, I think that growth is going to continue without doubt. So we've got a major challenge in front of us in terms of preparing for that growth. It is very much the chicken and the egg situation, though. Where do you put the infrastructure now before that growth happens? And obviously Taraika is one of those options. But look, I'm sure there will be lots of debate and discussion over the next 6 months or so when we start formulating the details of the long-term plan of where we're going to spend our money and how we're going to spend our money.
When you look at those numbers, your head begins to spin. They're talking about 60,000 people by about 2040 and 760,000 people living within an hour's drive of the Horowhenua by that stage, or more or less that stage. Now, that means that the central location of the Horowhenua is really coming into play, doesn't it?
Sure is. Look, we know that the faster and quicker that these roading projects are done to the south of us will even make that growth a reality. The fact that they're going to be that 50 minutes from the centre of Wellington will be a huge bonus for us in terms of, making sure that growth continues and it's not just a blip, that it is consistent, because we don't want to see up and down sort of movement. If we know that it's coming, we can plan for it and manage that a lot better than having big spikes or not happening at all. But the other challenge is, of course, is that with the roading coming, we've got to do something with our town centre, and probably have a look at some of the amenity facilities that we've got around the district, and to make sure that they are capable of coping with all that growth.
Indeed. You mentioned the being named a growth area by the Greater Wellington Regional Council. Do you think the Horowhenua is being drawn more to the south, or are these lines on the map just lines on the map and really they don't affect everyday life all that much?
Oh, I think there are definitely lines on the map. Look, there's the reality is that even as a Horizons region, we are a lot more collaborative than we used to be. We know that central government will take much more notice of us as a region than they will individually. If we go with a collective voice and push the projects that we want to see being invested in, then I think there's a far greater chance of that happening if we go as one voice. And the reality is what's good for Wellington is probably good for us, but also what's good for Palmerston North and the wider region is also good for us. I mean, we do get spin-off effects from everybody enjoying some growth. There will be benefits both ways, definitely.
Opportunities abound, and the road ahead looks to be challenging but full of possibilities, I suspect. We live in interesting times, and we've almost survived 2020, which is an achievement unto itself. Bernie Wanden, it's been great talking to you once again. Thank you very much for your company here on Beach FM.
A pleasure.
106.3 Beach FM.